Welcome to the mid-internship aspect of this presentation. This section will talk briefly about providing feedback, being direct, and then that evaluation process at midterm, which can be a little elusive. We'll also show two videos related to providing feedback and talk briefly about the important tool that is process recordings. As you know, it's crucial to provide feedback to students. The more constructive, the better. The more instructional, the better. However, we all know that this can be challenging when the feedback does need to be corrective. Being direct in supervision can be difficult, but we have some tools for you. And also, the faculty field liaison is always available to talk about best methods, to talk about what they know about the student, and to talk about ways that we can also support you if particularly the feedback needs to be corrective. So some tips. You want to provide behavioral observations. It's tempting, well, it can be tempting to use more vague language, but being very specific about, you're late, you're always late. Well, you were late 4 days out of the last 5. It's very clear, it's specific, it's objective in that those are the facts. And what you can do is utilize things like the evaluation competencies to reference. And also the student conduct document can be helpful to depersonalize. But this does not have to be personal. It's just you're not meeting our expectations. And then, of course, you'd want to check into the student about response. They often have a response. Sometimes it could be defensive. Sometimes it could be sadness, explanations, etc. And of course, if difficulties arise, please consult with us. I'd like to show you a video of one, and the one you're looking at is, well, I think you'll be able to guess, but it's a more non-relational feedback session. And then we'll have an opportunity to watch one where the feedback was more relational in nature.
Okay, Liz, so you had a session with a new client this week, right?
I did. It was off to a little rocky start, though. Honestly, I'm not quite sure if she's going to come back.
Why do you think she's not going to come back?
Well, she was really straightforward about her boyfriend's history of physical abuse. I know that is escalating. I was able to get a shelter spot for her, or a spot in the shelter, but she didn't seem to want that. And I kind of explored the idea of pressing charges, and she wasn't interested in that either. So I feel like I've kind of exhausted out how we help women in her situation, and I just don't know that she's interested in what we have to offer.
Well, surely you explored a little bit more than this, than what you just said about the shelter and pressing charges?
Charge in the shelter. I mean, I did. Honestly, I just think that she was thrown off by my age a little bit. And I also explored that her boyfriend's undocumented, but when I tried to press into that, she just kind of shut it down, so I just didn't go there.
Well, there's some pretty big differences between between the two of you. You did do some broaching about that. I mean, that's really important.
Well, no. I think our differences are obvious to both of us, right? Like, as far as broaching goes, I don't know, what would you want me to say? Like, hi, I noticed that you're older and Latina, and I'm in my 20s and a white young therapist. Like, it just seems awkward, and just like it could draw on a lot of stuff that just would need to start.
Well, okay, sure, but everybody's a little awkward broaching it first, and it's just an important aspect. I mean, it can be really disconnecting to not do it and to not bring it up. And frankly, I'm a little concerned that she's not going to come back.
Right.
Because you missed that.
Well, I don't understand the point then of me broaching, because it's more about the services. Like, obviously, I get therapeutic relationship would be important, but she doesn't want access to our services, so I don't know where that would.
Well, I mean, it's your responsibility to keep her safe. So, do you feel like she's safe right now?
Yeah, can't force her into coming into the shelter if she doesn't want to. And so I just don't know how me reconciling what is obviously our differences would have anything to do with her accepting space at the shelter or not, or pressing charges.
Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, unfortunately, I was looking at the time. It's time for me to go now, so I'm going to have to cut off. I mean, I'm going to check in and see what you can do about getting her. It's her choice, but getting her.
Well, I mean, like I said, I don't know if she's coming back. I guess what I could do is give her a call. I have had a hard time reaching her on the phone, but I'll leave her like a voicemail, see if she'll come back next week. I think that Wednesday is when I've thrown out to her, but I'll check in with you the next time I see you.
Hey, yeah, hate to cut you off, but I'm going to have to.
Okay,
so
all right.
Okay.
So this is one aspect. And then I will show you one that might have a more relational approach.
Hey, Eliza, you had a new client this week.
I did. She's real sweet, but it was a little rocky and kind of uncomfortable. I don't think she's actually going to be back.
Tell me about it.
Well, I mean, as far as the baseline of why she was here and just the domestic violence she's experiencing with her boyfriend, she was pretty transparent about what that was looking like. It sounds like it's escalating. We explored possibly pressing charges, and she kind of threw up her arms against that. I wasn't really comfortable with that. I brought up maybe staying at a shelter and was actually able to secure her a spot with us, but even with that, she was really reluctant and hesitant. So I feel like I went through our list of like services that we could provide. We went through them real fast, and she just doesn't seem to be interested. So I don't know why she'd come back if we don't have anything to help with.
Were you able to get under in there about what might be keeping her from accessing some of the things that you have to offer?
I mean, a little bit. Honestly, I just think that she was thrown off by my age. And then when we talked about her boyfriend, she disclosed that he's undocumented. And I think that may have drawn some just space between us and maybe made it a little more uncomfortable. So I just stopped pushing with that.
So there's some differences between you and her.
Oh yeah, I think that they're pretty obvious.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Obvious to you and to her?
I would say so.
Okay. Were you able to bring up the term that you used before, broach? Were you able to broach any of that with her?
I mean, no. Like I said, I think it's obvious, and the broaching just kind of means bringing it out there, and it's already out there. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, I noticed that you're older and Latina, and I'm white and in my 20s, and you're therapist. I don't know. It seems really awkward, and I don't know that awkward is worth the benefit there.
Well, it can feel awkward, especially if you haven't done it before, and I know you've learned about it in Professor Smith's class, but you've not maybe gotten a chance to try it?
No, I haven't tried it. I mean, we read a couple articles on it, and it sounds great on paper, but to be the one sitting in that situation
and doing it.
Yeah, and to say, I just don't see the benefit. Maybe in other situations I see it, but with this one, it just seemed enough of an obvious thing that I don't see how it really goes further.
Well, I probably learned about this. It may be floating around in the back. But another way about broaching, definitely it's the talking about the differences, processing those differences in session.
Right.
But are you familiar with the type that just allows or opens up a space for someone who is different than you or has a different experience than you, particularly an aggressive experience, to talk about their experience in the world?
So, like, not relationship between like me and them, but like me for them and their world.
Yeah.
No, it sounds a little abstract though. Do you have an example?
I I do. You know, I worked at a college counseling center for a while, and there's a few situations where I have colleagues who bring this up regularly. Just say, oh, you're a male, I'm a female, or whatever the situation is, and go ahead and just name it, put it in the room.
Yeah.
And
that's the one that I feel like I'm most familiar with.
Okay, right. And again, it may sound like a little awkward because you know that already, but or these are my assumptions about us, and
right.
But another way that was really helpful, I had a graduate student, who was a person of color in a predominantly white Caucasian department on campus, and she was having difficulty when she had never had difficulty before. And so, and this is where I feel strongly, and we've talked about this, learning about historical context, especially on this campus that I was working at, wondering, could this be potentially race related, based on her situation, and come to find out that she was the only African American, and she was having difficulty. So just to talk about her experience, what's it like? Have you been in situations like this? She went to a historically black university, so it was a very big switch for her. So just even what does it mean to be in these systems? What's it like for her? And then ultimately, she did have a discriminatory experience with a professor, and so it did connect us in a way that I believe she knew that I saw her in her experience, and that I didn't push it under. If you remember that article, I happen to know that article too.
Yeah.
Better outcomes occur when there needs to be more research, but better outcomes occur when we acknowledge what could be going on. And I have a feeling something might be related to being Latina, undocumented in these systems that you're talking about, shelters, domestic violence, the complications of domestic violence. What do you think?
I mean, it's a new perspective. I'm just trying to take it in, because I'm hearing connection would be a big benefit for feeling seen and heard.
Back to see you,
knowing
you're still here,
and also just me even having a better understanding of where she's sitting, so I can meet her there. Still a little uncomfortable to broach something in that way.
Should be willing to try.
Yeah, I'd be willing to try. I think kind of your latter example seems a little bit more comfortable, talking to her about her experience in the world. So I'd be willing to try that. I mean, like I said, I don't know if she's coming back, but Wednesday was our appointment time. Hopefully she comes, but I don't know. I've had a hard time getting in touch.
Do you have what you need to be able to do that right now, and the resources to make this connection with her?
I think so. I feel more comfortable about it and guiding our conversation next time. So I'll definitely give it a try.
Okay.
I don't know how it will go.
I have a feeling it's going to go well.
I'll try. And if connection, even if I'm wrong in those things, it sounds like connection and would be a better outcome than not.
That's my belief, and I think that even the research shows that. So, and I know we talked about that. But I am available up until the time you see her, and after, and then of course we'll have our supervision next week.
Great. Well, then I'll probably touch base with you right after, even before, if I'm sure she's coming, and maybe run through how I'm planning on doing this, practice a little bit. But yeah, I'll definitely.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing this up today. And I look forward to hearing about what happened.
I'm excited to tell you about it.
Okay, good. Great. Bye.
So before we move on, that was just an opportunity to see a conversation that's a little bit different. And in this case, I probably should have set it up a little bit differently, but this was a case where the intern was having difficulty bringing up being more direct with clients. We have that parallel process where I can be direct with her in a way that's relational and kind, with my hope that she'll go back and be direct and open and kind and relational with her client.